Hey, happy Mother's Day, Mom. I know you're listening. And to all the mothers out there, if you're a mom listening to the show, thank you for all that you do. It makes a difference. You are, after all, the original hypnotists.
Open loops. Do, do. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. You must listen to the open loops, a theme park for absurd beliefs and systems of integration between the mind and the creative spirit. Open loops.
Today on Open Loops, I have the distinct honor. Now, this doesn't happen often. This really doesn't happen often. To bring on one of my trainers. Yes, I've had my high school English teacher on the show before, drama teacher. But to have a master teacher of hypnosis and NLP, one of my trainers on is such an honor. She is a master trainer of NLP and hypnosis, a best-selling author translated into 11 languages, ranked one of the top NLP practitioners on the planet out of Niagara Falls, Ontario. Her book, Every Word Has Power, that's the book that's been translated, published everywhere. It is, yeah. It's such a great book. And you have a new one, No More Therapists, Your Brain Has the Answer, which I'm so excited to get into. She's been doing this, over 30 years in clinical sessions and training in her own life. She is somebody that actually teaches, trains NLP and hypnosis, and really actually does it and keeps developing it. She is Dr. Yvonne Oswald. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh my gosh.
Thank
Long
you.
ago, dude.
Great to be here. I'm so excited to see you again and talk to you again.
Oh my gosh, you are, the first thing I think of when I see you here is I remember, there's so many little Dr. Yvonne-isms that I remember from that training that we did. One of the things, you talk a lot about health, and you talked a lot about the stuff you put in your body and the way it infects your overall aura, and also just in general, the way that people that are more spiritually open, you can even see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
People that are connected to some kind of divine source or whatnot. You radiate that. Yeah, can you speak on that for a sec? Because you are just living that right now. And I know you've gone through a lot of different changes even since we last saw each other. So how are you? So, what is it that you do to preserve this glow? What is that?
It's basically when I get up in the morning, I kind of regard my work as God's work. When my ex asked me to marry him, I was 40, a bit late, but he said, I want to marry you. And I said, you have to know one thing about me. If I'm with a client, if I'm doing work, if I'm working on the stuff I'm changing the world with, you're second. You're always going to be second. I said, if you can accept that, then we'll marry. I said, but if you want to be first in my life, it's never going to happen. And he just said, I can do that. And he just said, I'll support you. And he did, funnily enough, of all the, we ended up, how we ended up as usual. But he did support me in all the work I did. He was quite amazing, actually. He never interfered at all, and he was always super supportive. And that's why, because the number one job is for God, and that's it. And it's called God, humanity, the universe, the source, whatever name you want to give it. That's my job, is to raise the vibration of people in my soul group. And therefore, we're going to raise the people in other people's soul group too. And Greg, you're in my soul group. anybody watching, listening to this is in my soul group. So we all need to raise the vibration so we can all get high, you know, the rising tide carries all ships kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my reason to be, is really to make a difference.
Wow. Wow. That is very interesting. I mean, I'm curious, you know, we're going to get into your methodology, but I do kind of want to get a little philosophical with you for a second, because I haven't seen you since pre-2020.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this was maybe it was like 2016, 2017-ish, I think I did your training. There's been a lot of talk about how we've moved into the 5D, and COVID caused people to start looking internally and shift the consciousness of the planet. And now what was weird, I mean, truly, people in your training were saying weird things. Including you. Weird, I put in quotes, but
well, I call that hokey, and I'm fine. I don't mind being hokey.
But it was great. I mean, yeah, it was maybe even the first time. And again, this is 2017, way before I started this show, before this was even a show. People were saying, "Oh yes, I'm an intuitive," and I said, "Wait, this is a hypnosis training. What are you talking about, intuitive?" But yeah, you had this group of different trainees talking about these experiences. I thought it was strange. Now this is so mainstream in a way that it wasn't. How has that changed for you as a trainer? What are you seeing going on in the world that might be different now than 10 years ago?
It's not, everybody's much more open to it. I mean, the very interesting thing is the groups are starting to split into two. The people who are completely not interested, like living here. I was talking to someone about what I did. She said, I don't believe in all that stuff. I was like, wow, you are obviously not my soul group then. I'm not interested in, you know, having that. And yet other people who I'm on the phone to or I'm doing podcasts with, they're all like, we know there's something big happening. We know that, you know, it'll only take a couple more generations and the whole world is going to change completely for the better. I believe we're on our way to it. And everybody says, oh, it's kids these days. Kids these days are fabulous. They're really amazing. They're really aware from day one. When they wake up, they're trying to save the planet. They want to, you know, make sure that we stay together socially. And, you know, of course, social media changed all that. And I think it made a big difference. You know what changed for me? When I saw all the pop-up, you know, the violins and people singing and things like that all over the world. It was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And I remember opening my computer and every time there was a pop-up thing. What do they call them? Not pop-ups. Where people would just start singing in a mall and then violins would join in and then somebody else would join in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they were all over the world. There was one in Russia. There was one in China. There was one. And I was like, thank you. At last, finally, we can see that these people are not all black and white. They're just like us.
Yes.
That to me was one of the best things that ever happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a certain look, I feel like I have two different camps of people, or at least I divided in my head. I have very positive, soul affirming episodes of the show, and then I have some of the more conspiracy minded shows. And those conspiracy ones, we start to get into the bots, the AI replacing everybody, and the global agenda, and blah blah blah. You don't seem like someone where that's bringing you down at all. I feel like you're deep into the power of humanity in the mind and personal human potential still. Is that right?
Exactly. And if it's not grounded, I won't do it. The big thing about me is and it was the other way around. Hypnosis tends to be all spiritual and
yes,
woohoo. NLP, it tends to be so grounded, it's black and white. And I thought, no, if I'm doing NLP, we have to bring a visit to your guide. We have to bring in a visit to the temple to see that the father you lost and talk to him and say, you know, why did you die? Was it really necessary? And, you know, get that grief stuff in. We have to get in the idea that there's a higher consciousness. So the idea is that with anybody, if you take anybody into the light as you're working with them, up to the source, up to the light, and then bring them back down, they've completed, they get whole again. When they're too far down in chunk, remember in the NLP term, chunk down? Yes. Chunk down in it with my husband's this and my kids throw the clothes everywhere and this. You're never going to change anything because they're using the conscious mind. You have to get them into the unconscious mind, and that has a direct connection to the source of manifestation. So if you want them to have goals and get them come true, you have to raise the vibration to the point where they're accepting suggestions and they're accepting different things. And
It's very interesting.
well,
We're gonna really. I mean, I'll get really talking into shop with you for a second because I'm curious. Then, we'll get to your origin story. But now that you've opened up a loop in my mind, which is this. I think one of the reasons that NLP, as you said, gets into such almost linear and very left-brained is because they talk about this idea of it's not about the content, it's the structure. It's about the structure of the way your brain is processing this memory or experience.
Yes.
What is the spiritual component to? Are you making a case for engaging more of the content here? Are you saying that there's a structural component to the way we process things that is connected to some higher power? Yeah, how does that relate?
I agree. And the thing is, what's interesting is with hypnosis, something like Ericksonian hypnosis, the Milton Erickson, it's very, language persuasive. You're going to blink once or twice and you're breathing. And there's no real structure to it. It's so everybody goes like this fast. With NLP, it's black and white like this. And what I realized was very early on when I learned the NLP, I was reading these. Tell the client to do this. Tell the client to do that. And I was trying to work through what I was supposed to be telling the client to do, as well as reading. Tell the client to. So I thought this is ridiculous. This is like so long-winded. So what I did is I made everything into a script. Go ahead, put your left hand on your knee in a loose fist. Get your right finger ready to touch the top of it. So they just had to read it. And the other thing about NLP is if I've taught it correctly to you, I can do one demo. You can read the script and produce the same result.
Yes.
That's what's beautiful about it. With hypnosis, it's a bit more goosey, and
yes,
you'll always get great results. However, it's not so directed, whereas NLP is super directed towards the result, and it works. That's the beauty of it. Because I went for years for therapy because of all my goofy childhood and everything, and 4 years, and I did everything. And the proof that 38% of results after 600 taught therapy sessions, psychotherapy 600 sessions, you get 38% results. You must have just talk to your friends and save your money, right? It was 93% results after 6 sessions. NLP is 1 session. Thank you, gone. Delete the file. And nice thing is about it, Greg, you have 300 times more cells in your brain than there are people on the planet. So if you rewire a thought or a memory or a negative emotion, you'll never find it again. Too many brain cells there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and it must be, I had someone on the show that was an NLP trainer, and he said, yeah, it's great to be in this field now, but the stuff that we were saying about placebo effect in the 70s and 80s, it's just every day you read a new Psychology Today article about neuroplasticity, and it just verifies the stuff that we've known for years.
Yes. They're just giving a new name.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of an interesting idea and it goes to show you that, I mean, I feel as if the academics really weren't actually looking at the humans and the way humans were changing and the behavioral change. That's what I think, at least, Richard Bandler and John Grinder really had the insights, as well as, did you study with them?
No. What happened was that Bandler was in England, and I saw a lot of his videos, and I was thinking, he's not the kind of person I can relate to, because he was garbage and guts and all kinds of other things. I learnt with Todd James and with Matt James and with a lot of other people as well.
Yes.
And I took all I'd learned and made it my own stuff. So a lot of the techniques I use are NLP based, and I've added to. So remember the craving. Did you ever learn the craving technique? It's called twirl and flip.
Oh, I believe so.
Stop craving. So you get a potato chip. You eat the potato chip, and it's lovely and salty and delicious. Then you make a shape in a head inside your mind. You flip it round, turn it around, eat the other potato chip. There's no taste. It tastes like cardboard.
Yes.
That how bad. I mean, I can do it with you right now with frustration to show you how fast it works.
Okay, let's do it. Actually, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So frustration is an easy one because it's a daily occurrence.
Yes.
So think of a time you got frustrated this week, and the brain only works with one-time memories. Remember, it doesn't work with sequences of memories. It works with one memory. So one memory this week when you got frustrated with someone or something.
I've got it.
Got it? I know. I've got mine too. It is a daily thing, frustration. It's very interesting.
Yes.
So go ahead and close your eyes and imagine what shape and color it might be and where it would be in your body. Where would it be, Greg?
Oh my gosh, I'm seeing like a big blinking. I mean, it's in my head. It's very much in my head.
And what shape is it?
Almost like a light, the glow of a police siren light kind of glow.
Okay, and what color?
Red.
Perfect. So take that red police siren kind of blinking thing and make it go clockwise or anti-clockwise. Which way would it like to go?
It's going anti-clockwise.
Okay, cool. Now pop it out of your head, in front of your head, and make it go the opposite way. So go clockwise with it. Now make it a different shape and color. What shape and color is it now?
It's like a green, it's almost like a green kind of,
Just make it a shape rather than a moving shape. Just a shape.
Okay. I see a green curve, like a potato chip, actually, like a plastic green potato chip.
Okay, plastic green
Smooth.
chip. Good.
Completely smooth. Yes.
Exactly. So now pop it back into your head in the place it was originally. Click your fingers and open your eyes. So you're clicking fingers to break the state. Open your eyes. Now try to go back to that old memory of frustration and try to feel frustrated.
It's like I have amnesia for the state.
You won't get there. It's completely neutral.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's the whole idea is once we change the submodalities, once we change the places even in your head, you can't, your memory can't go back there because you attempt to get back to the original frustration and you direct it in a different direction. And that's why with things like suicide, with PTSD, with sexual abuse, literally you can, sometimes it gets to the point where people don't even remember it happened. And normally I'll say, how do you feel about the sexual abuse? They'll go, oh, he had a lot of problems, nothing to do with me. And it was, whereas before they'd been like, oh, having panic attacks thinking of it. It's like you take the emotional charge out of it. There's nothing left to talk about. It's just an event.
Yeah. Dr. Yvonne, when did this first blow your mind? I mean, did you see a hypnotherapist? Did you just read a book and practice this stuff on yourself? I mean, what was the inciting moment that made you go, there's something here?
What was interesting was when I was 5 years old, they had hypnotists on the TV because we got our first TV when I was 5. And I remember my father doing it with my mother with their watch.
Oh, really?
And at the time I thought, that's interesting. That was the only thought I had in my head. And then when I got to 36 and I got to Canada, I did everything. Talk therapy, gestalt therapy, you name it, screen therapy, past lives, everything. And everything worked for a couple of weeks, but nothing stuck. There was always still going to be a charge there. And I was like, there has to be something, I did rebirthing, I got to the point where I was teaching all of them. And then I kept thinking there has to be something different. And I came across a hypnosis training, a 4-day one. And one of my clients said to me, you have to go and see Dr. Chips. He's amazing. He was a real sweetheart. He was from Virginia and he was working in Toronto. So I did the 4-day course. It was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I came back feeling like, hey, man, did I ever have many issues? And I'd said, I have to learn everything about it. Everything. And then from there, I was reading books. I actually taught at the Edgar Cayce Institute, the ARE. And at the ARE. And it was just ever I went, I was just absorbing. And then someone said to me, if you like the hypnosis, you'll love the NLP. I'm like, what's NLP? And I went to a class with him and I just said, this is the magic genie in the lamp. This is what I've been searching for. So a combination of the NLP and hypnosis, they do go hand in glove. They really do.
Yeah.
It's just it's 100% successful every time.
Yes, that is so interesting, and I know that you, I mean, you came up with a methodology that was very much the Dr. Yvonne method for a while. This mind magic thing. Yeah, what is it? Speak about this.
Still works.
What is that exactly for people
What-
that aren't familiar?
My daughter was having night wears every night. She was about 6, I think. And she'd been watching the zombie program, and it was 5 times a night. I was awake saying, "You're safe, you're loved, we'll go to the park tomorrow, you'll be fine." I tried doing hypnosis, didn't work. She'd go to sleep and then wake again. And I thought, I have to invent something because I cannot not have another. It was 3 weeks with no sleep. So I thought, I know enough about NLP and hypnosis that I can put something together that will work, right? So I thought, what's the first thing that has to happen? You have to be able to take that deep breath to release the diaphragm, because the diaphragm release actually floods your body with endorphins and puts you in the states of alpha. That's, when we're under stress, the diaphragm's pulled right up into your rib cage and everybody's walking around on high alert, right? So first of all is that deep breath, right? The second thing is, the expression, put your chin up?
Yeah.
When you put your chin up, if you just look like that and look at the sky, ceiling, you can't feel a negative emotion. It's an impossibility because you're not using the right part of your brain.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Isn't that interesting? You're not in your limbic and amygdala anymore. You're in your prefrontal cortex. And that has a direct contact with the nucleus accumbens, which is your reward center. So you can put your head down to feel sad, look up, look at the ceiling, and attempt to feel, let your gaze soften. And you cannot even get to sadness. It's not in there. There's no way you can contact it. Isn't that interesting?
It is very interesting. That's
yeah. Then I thought we need an anchor. In NLP, we need an anchor, right? So the right hand is usually used for a positive anchor. We do positive, fabulous experience. So when you touch that in future, you're going to feel right. So the left hand knuckle is not used for anything. The reason we use knuckles is we don't typically touch those. We don't come into contact. Whereas if you use fingers, you can use any part of the body. You can use your elbow if you want to make it bang. But typically fingers, you're touching, so you're giving mixed signals to your brain. If you use one place for one thing, then it's a straight signal. This, we're reading this straight through to your reptile gut to all the emotions.
Right? Oh.
So basically, putting it together, you find the emotion, anger or whatever it is. You look up, choose the spot on the ceiling, put your finger on that knuckle, because it's down on your knee, take a deep breath, release the root cause of the anger and frustration, preserve the positive lessons from our health and benefit. Thank you. You do it 3 times, it's gone. If it hasn't gone, you didn't name it correctly.
Yeah.
I actually did it this morning. Exactly that happened. There was a woman here who was interesting. We'll just say she's interesting. And I actually said, release the root cause of the anger. And there was still something left. And I'm like, it's not anger then. It's obviously something, and learning the names of the emotions is one of it. There are lots and lots of them, as you know. I'm still gathering them, Greg.
Yeah, what do you got there?
Look here.
Whoa.
Negative emotions, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, look at how many positive emotions there are.
Wow. Oh, yeah, it's so interesting. Another thing that has happened since we spoke is I feel that Brene Brown has taken some of the, when I see her stuff in the Atlas of the Heart, I'm thinking, yeah, Dr. Yvonne Oswald was tracking these different emotions before you were, sweetheart. Of course, she's got she's got the mainstream, yeah, sure, but yeah, no, I mean, you've been a scavenger of different words and ways to represent emotions for years before that atlas dropped.
It was, and in 2008, when my book came out, I spent 3 or 4 years writing it. However, the 6 months before I wrote it, I literally went on the internet and looked up every single low energy word and every single positive word. I stopped using positive and negative because positive started having a different meaning. So if you look positive now on the internet, you get HIV, you get hepatitis C, you get, not so much positive. So, and I realized that positive words have different energy with them. So love is very different than excitement. They're both positive though. So it's high energy words, which are those, and the low energy words like bad, hard, difficult, etc. And it's been proven scientifically that if you use a lot of low energy words, you lower your vibration. And if it goes below 200, of course, you're going to get sick. And if you use high energy words all the time, you're living in your prefrontal cortex, which is I call it the happy brain. And that's when you're going to really have, instead of 80% negative, 20% positive thoughts in your head. Let's at least get it to 50-50. That was my goal.
Are you, yeah, I know. I'm curious. I mean, do you ever catch yourself saying a low energy word unconsciously? You still do. Okay.
I do. And sometimes you need it. If you bash your foot on a table saying, oh gosh, it doesn't feel very nice, doesn't work. What does work is,
yes.
You have to have that explosion of, in order for it to feel better. Because you're not acknowledging that it happened, right? However, if you look at the low energy words as just labels, this is the label for the emotion that's happening right now. I think of everything as file folders in your head. So the low energy file folders need to be deleted. They're like virus files in your head. So when we can clear those, then we make way for more high energy words to come in. However, there are some I've completely deleted. I was actually teaching at Harvard Medical School. There was a whole group of 600 people. So I said, the word for not good. The word not good. I'm like, can anyone tell me what the word for not good is? And someone said, bad. I'm like, yeah, that one. I had no recollection of that word in my head at all. I cleared it out completely. So it's what I have to do if I'm thinking of a low energy word when I'm talking. I have to actually write it in front of my head so that I can remember it, because it's not in there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a useful thing. And one of the reasons you're still training, right?
Yes. This is one of the reasons I wanted to do the book, because with another, however many years I've got left, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, I knew that I couldn't train enough people for all my work to get out there. I thought, why don't I put it in one book, all the NLP methods, all the hypnosis methods, all the idea that you can change if you do tiny little changes every single day, including clearing the negative emotions and limiting beliefs. And if you can do that for 7 days and then do goal setting for 7 days, you've got your whole life under control then. Human beings not having control of your life is the least good thing that could happen to you. You know that, right?
Yes. Well, I was going to say, so one of the things that was really fun about your trainings, and this is what I highly recommend to people that they want to do, if they want an experiential, a truly experiential NLP hypnosis training, you held everybody to the standard of, hey, for this weekend, if anybody says a low negative word or low energy word, we're going to call each other out on it. We're going to hold each other accountable. And I remember that accountability. I remember being very careful because things would slip through, but I thought it was that experience was quite memorable because you don't often recognize how much is programmed.
I know what, Greg, people always say, I'm so high energy speaking out. There's no way I'm ever going to, because you get 20 poker chips, right? The gold poker chips. And they always say, oh, I'll keep all mine because my language is perfect. And the next day, you switch. And they go, I had no idea I had so many low energy words coming out of my mouth. They don't even know what, they'll say what they say. And they have no awareness of that. They just said bad or hard or difficult or whatever. And, switching it from hard to not easy, the unconscious mind only accepts, it literally recognizes the key word. So saying, don't touch that to a 5-year-old, the 5-year-old will touch it just like the unconscious mind would. You're giving the opposite instruction. So don't has to come out of every parent's vocabulary because they'll do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And if you say, don't think of a pink elephant, you know what you're thinking of, right? You have no option but to go there. it's really interesting. It doesn't hear the negatives. It doesn't hear context either, your unconscious mind. It just hears the keyword you use. So if you're using keywords like good, fabulous, exciting, it'll go for everything else that's exciting and bring you more of the same. If you use bad, poor, difficult, hard, it's going to search for those on the internet and bring you back loads more of the same of that too.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's very interesting when you actually start to think it through. So I listen every morning and every evening to one of my own hypnosis MP3s because there's no low energy words in there.
That's pretty good. That's pretty, I mean, and also listening to yourself say those things probably has a different impact than just some random joke.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, people recommend meditations to me, and they start out like this. So, let go of all the tight feelings in the body and all the stress you found. Well, I wasn't feeling anything before you actually mentioned it. Really, I start with close your eyes, imagine a beautiful white light above you, and feel yourself relax. So, right? Yeah, there's very few hypnosis tracks that won't have so many negatives in. I can't listen to them. It's really not interested. Thanks. Yeah. Actually went to a yoga retreat on Toronto Island, and it was not easy to get there that day. The traffic wasn't good. I lived an hour north of there. Finally managed to get across on the ferry to the island, and we were going for this lovely yoga day. Big hall, lots of women. And the woman turned around and she said, I know you've all had a really difficult time getting here. And I know how stressed you've all been and how hard it's been. And I'd literally lain on the floor and gone, God, thank you, goodbye. And I was like, okay, now I'm not feeling the same way I did a minute ago. Like, why would you do that to people? They have no realization of the impact of the words now.
That's the thing. I mean, I feel it's almost so simple you would think it's nothing special, and yet it is one of the highest impact things that I feel one could do is audit the language that they're thinking constantly and using.
Exactly. And the word no has to be completely away from a parent's vocabulary. You say no too many times, they don't hear it. And what you say is, could you do that differently? Or keep it, instead of saying, don't drop that, could you keep that in your hands, make sure it stays safe? It's like it's a whole different way. You tell them what to do, not what not to do. They'll automatically go and do what not to do because that's your survival mechanism.
That makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you something. When you do, what is your take on, because I've had this issue as a subject of these things is sometimes the root cause doesn't come to me, or the wisdom doesn't come to me, that you'll know the reason. Do you have to know? Is that something you trust your unconscious to just know the reason?
You trust your unconscious mind to know. Every single limiting belief you locked in was before you were 7. You have no recollection of that. So the reason we can clear negative emotion just like that. I mean, like, yeah, anyone in front of me now clear anything you like. PTSD, war vets, whatever, anger, rage, is very simple for me. The limiting beliefs, the only reason you know they're there is that something's not working in your life. So if you want to be rich and you're not rich, you've got a belief in there somewhere. If you want to be healthy and you're not healthy, you've got a limiting belief. If you want to have a relationship, if you've not got a relationship, you've got a limiting belief. It's very interesting. I know I have a huge limiting belief around relationships right now. The one part of me would love to have someone in my life who's wealthy, who takes me out and about, who treats me like I want to be treated, instead of me having to support every guy I've ever been out with. And it's like, the other part of me is like, I love living alone. I love having my own space. I like to think a lot. And I don't just want to sit and listen to someone going like this. I don't want to have to cook and clean for anybody anymore. So I've got this conflict going on. It's like very interesting. And I know I've met a few people recently who have been quite attractive. I'm like, okay, I must be releasing that limiting belief, because there are men coming into my life who are like, there's a possibility there. And then I immediately go, no, there isn't.
What is, I mean, I was going to say, what's the intervention around that? Is that, you find the positive intention behind, do you squash that? I mean, how do you?
No, it's called a secondary gain.
Yeah, right.
The statutory game for me not to have a relationship is way bigger than me having a relationship. I've got my own timetable. I can wake up when I want. I can work till 3 a.m. I can work all night if I like. I can sit and watch Netflix at 2:00 in the morning. I can go and eat something in the middle of the night. I can do anything I like. I don't have to go out or I want to go out. So I've got my whole life where with every choice, with if I had a relationship, I'd have to ask them, what do you want for dinner? Should we go shopping for lunch? What do you want? Do you want me to book you a dental appointment? The usual, you're having to please the other person and think of someone else. I don't have to think about anybody else, just except my clients, of course. But and
Oh my
it's
gosh.
gives me a lot of freedom. It part of it would take away my freedom.
You're preaching to the choir here. I feel.
Yeah. And guess what, Greg? She's not the truth. It's just a belief.
That's true.
You and I married someone who was super rich, could afford servants to do all the housework and the cleaning and the cooking and everything else. It takes that whole load of what I don't want to do out of my ballpark, and I'm still the free person I want to be, right? So I'm sure there are men in the world who are like that.
Ha ha. Yeah, I feel like you're more likely to find that immediately than though I don't know. A trad husband, what, who knows? But yes, no, it's very interesting that the idea of, where ultimately there's a values conflict and
yes, it is.
One of the gains rules out because it's more aligned with your values.
Yes, and they need to have a sense of humor, be intelligent, and be educated, which is. Then we're making it's down to 3 people in my universe, right?
But
it's I'm quite happy to entertain the idea, and it's just it's not my priority right now. So,
well, I do want to know about. So, how do you define the timeline memory continuum? I know you use that term in your work. Timeline memory continuum.
Timeline memory is great. I use it a lot. What I use it for is to go backwards. I usually take people on the second session of the NLP. So we do a big 4-hour session. I get them to write me 3 pages of everything that's not worked in the whole life. I don't want the story when I'm doing a session. I'm not interested in chatting about your story. I don't care what your husband did. I was married 3 times. I know exactly what husbands do. So it's like, I just want what emotions it left behind, right? Work with. So they send me the 3 pages. I won't work with them unless they send me that, because that means I'm going to have to listen to their boring story during the session, which is not particularly interesting. Then we do the NLP for an hour to unwind all the beliefs. Then we do the negative emotions to release those. Then we do the hypnosis to lock it in. What's interesting about it is that these people come to me and they're expecting to just fix me. And I'm not going to fix you. It's a do with process. It's not a do to process.
Right.
So very importantly, when I meet someone, or if I meet someone, even friendships wise, I want someone who believes in, who's very spiritual. I want someone who's intelligent. I want someone to have a good conversation with, apart from talking about your visits to the hospital with your bad knee, right? And things like that. And the timeline really comes into that, in as much as I will take on the second session, which is the follow-up session, I'll take someone back to preconception. And I'll actually take them to preconception 3 months before the conception. They find the mother, and do you like her? What do you need to inherit from her this lifetime to help you? Here's your father coming in. And they always say, wow, they look so young. It's quite amazing. They've got the memory. They've already chosen the parents. And when you come to the conception, I'll say, who's standing there with you? Who's helping you in? It can be a guide. It can be a higher counsel. It really doesn't matter. It can be Jesus. It can be the grandmother. And then I'll say, what's the lesson? The one lesson you're to learn this lifetime. And they already know. And then we go to halfway through the pregnancy. How's your mother feeling about this? And it's amazing how much they can pick up while they're in utero. They'll say she's really afraid. And I'll say, how's that making you feel? And they'll say, afraid, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be afraid of. Right? So I actually go through that to the birth. And at the birth, those first words said to the baby hears and understands everything. Okay? So it's like, oh, it's a girl. We'll have a boy next time. oh, look at that. It's a face only your mother could love. It's like they remember. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So then the last session will be going into the future timeline, and I take them 1 to 3 years ahead. And the way to do that is you have to plant the future timeline. It's like someone with cancer. They say, I'm going to have fun when I've got rid of this cancer. Well, you won't get rid of the cancer unless you have fun. That's the opposite way around, right? Anxiety is a future-based emotion. So we can clear anger, sadness, fear, guilt. Those are past emotions, super simple. They're in the body already. Anxiety or dread or worry is something that hasn't occurred. Therefore, you don't know the ending of it. You don't know the completion of it. So therefore, that's why it's a constant circle in the head. It's a never-ending circle. There's no exit strategy. So what I always do that last session is I'll say, Greg, I haven't seen you for a year. You look fabulous. What's been happening this last year? And you go, well, what happened was, and you give me this whole series of fabulous things that have gone on.
Yes.
And it's actually quite interesting because people just start making things up and they really do come true. It's really quite surprising because it means they just set the GPS ahead for a year ahead. And that's really past, present, future. It's all one. We know it's all one. However, you can define moments on it and clear them up and put new ones in.
Oh, that is super interesting. And intriguing to me that you've been able to keep developing different things. I mean, I am the part of No More Therapists, Your Brain Has the Answer, which is out on May 14th. And we will link to Dr. Yvonne Oswald and all the wonderful stuff you're doing so people can access that. I also know you have something you want to gift people too, so we'll get to that. What is that? The safety books.
The book is called No More Therapists, Your Brain Has the Answer. Clear negative emotions in minutes, not years. That's the key. I'm a therapist. My biggest goal will be that nobody needs therapists anymore, right? Because we have our own way to do it. So the book has everything in it. It's got 9 rapid release codes plus a lot of other things. It's got MP3s in there, so there's links to MP3s, there's links to YouTube demos or the videos so that they can see the demo as well as read it kind of thing. And when you do it as an actual book, it's going to have a QR code next to every one of them so they can get the QR code from the book. And what was really interesting was I was like, I want everything in there that I can possibly teach people without having to, something like submodality switches. You can't teach that in a book. It's too complicated. There are a few things that are a bit too complicated. However, anything that's simple that we can clear negative emotions is in the book. You can have 2 or 3 year olds doing it. You can have 90-year-old people doing it. It's very much, you can pick and choose. It's like a little smorgasbord of negative emotion releases and things to do as well, not just not to do, but things to do. And it's May 14th, 99 cents for 1 day only. It's 24 hours from midnight on the 13th of May to midnight on the 14th of May. It's 99 cents on Kindle. So, and what happened was I was actually, one of my clients who was a student as well, I said, I want you to read the book as though you've never read anything about me before or heard anything. And the first 7 days, she phoned me after the 4th day. She said, I am going crazy. And I'm like, why? She said, I know how to clear this. She said, but it comes on day 7 and I'm not at day 7 yet. So I was like, oh no. Right. Okay. So I said, okay, then we're going to have to put a safety box in at day 3 or 4. So I've got 10 different techniques that aren't even in the book. And I've put them into your safety box, it's called. And it's instant things you can do if you go into emotional tsunamis or volcanoes. You can literally open the safety box and pick one of the techniques and do them and it's clear it straight away. So that's the gift that people are getting. 10 beautiful techniques that are instant calmer downers.
That's so cool. Yeah, we are gonna. Well, yeah, we will definitely link to that. How are you? I mean, you're very generative in general.
I keep being told off for that. It doesn't make me wonder if you're that generous, but
Well, I mean, hey, I feel like creativity is such a great, why better to be a creative, practitioner of this kind of stuff than somebody that,
I
yeah.
love taking my own techniques up. I love taking the techniques a million miles further. You remember the phasphobia model with the
Oh yeah, with the movie theater and yeah, dissociation, double dissociation.
association model, so you don't have to feel the feelings, and it works brilliantly. And I use it for suicides. I use it for sexual abuse. I use it for rage, for anger. It works brilliantly. It's my go-to one for the big things, the abuse, and it's super fantastic. I don't do color. I don't see any reason why you have to put any color in there. And literally, they go from pre-birth with the guide to mom pregnant, to the baby, to the child, to all the stuff that goes through to the adult, and then white it out, go back into the projection booth, watch it again, and it's just a circle round. It's a bit like old Etch-a-Sketch used to be, when you do this kind of thing.
Yes.
And I usually do that just before I do the hypnosis because it literally just cleans everything up. And anything we miss, it cleans up as well.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm going to ask you an oddball question, but I feel like you'll have an answer. Have you ever, I mean, as an experimenter, and I've often wondered, how do we even get this into the field more, but have you ever had anybody say, Dr. Yvonne, I trust you so much that if you are going to try some new techniques, try it on me and go weird, make it strange, let me channel an alien intelligence through me, whatever you need to do. Have you ever played around and experimented and had something happen where you go, okay, that technique was interesting, but I'm maybe not going to try that again? Yeah. Anything you could think of? Any experimental times in your NLP generativity and creativity?
No, if they try and go off into the boondocks, I'll bring them back.
So it's because some people really like to push this stuff into.
But the thing, it's an avoidance technique, Greg. You're taking them off the beaten path. I've got my
Light
here to where I want them to end up. And if they start going off here and over there and everywhere else, I'm not doing my job properly. To clear whatever beliefs they've got. So if they say, I believe in aliens, I say, that's fine. Do you want not to believe in aliens, or are you quite happy believing in aliens? Because I'm happy if you're happy. Right? Whatever you believe is what you want to believe, as long as So in other words, with behaviors, we either delete the behavior completely, like smoking and alcohol. You don't need smoking and alcohol, so it's easy to delete. Eating is a different thing because you have to eat. So you have to modify a behavior like that. Aliens are going to come and get me. It depends how afraid of the aliens I am. If I'm absolutely petrified of aliens, I'm going to work with that and get the fear away from it. They can still believe in aliens by all means.
Yeah.
Be afraid of it. No negative emotions associated with it.
Do you ever play around with generative skill development, like people that say, I want to be able to study for tests or a lost object retrieval? I don't know where this thing is. I need to find it. Do you ever do any of that stuff, or is it more?
Usually that comes under the clairvoyant stuff. So when I do readings, I might do that. So I do palmistry, tarot, and numerology, so it might well come up in that kind of thing, really.
Yeah, that's true. You do segment it. That is interesting, though, that I feel that you have strong boundaries with hypnosis and NLP for somebody that does do, and I know you do past life regressions and you do readings.
Yeah.
You very much, and this is, and I'm saying this because it's certainly not the same for the founders of NLP. They talk about boundary crossing. I mean, these guys were doing a lot of boundary crossing. And I feel like you're saying, hey, this is a technology that is about healing for me. It's very much about healing. It's about getting people grounded back into the reality so they can live their biggest potential. If we want to do this other kind of stuff, that's a different category of work. But for this specifically, it's interesting. I mean, I'm curious. Maybe it's because it helped you so much in that regard, or maybe you're just not interested in, using hypnosis to create another personality.
Separate. So something like a past life regression, I want them to feel emotion. I want them sitting there with tears rolling down their faces, sobbing their head off, and literally, they don't feel the emotions when you're doing a past life regression session, they'll feel like they were just watching a film, they just made it up. They'll feel like they wasted the money. So I'll do a breathing technique with it to make sure that they feel the emotions. And I'll make sure I head them towards the emotions. In NLP, I don't want them to feel the emotions because we're just changing, we redirect the neural pathways. So it's nothing to do with emotions, really. We're just clearing it out. With the hypnosis, if emotions happen, that's fine. We're just the keeper of the sacred space. So if someone's sobbing and sobbing and sobbing, you just wait, let them grieve it out, let them get rid of it. And then when they take a breath, when they go, then you know it's complete. You can talk. If you talk before that, you couldn't have talked before it's released properly.
Past life regression, does it matter if is it sometimes a metaphor, or do you genuinely, okay.
Yeah, totally can be a metaphor. It was interesting with something like abortion. I always address abortion. They say, I've had 1 or 2 abortions, but it's fine. It was necessary. Oh no, it was not. We have to release that. And I'll take them. I'll go into a kind of meditation hypnosis with them, and I'll say, you're by a lake, you're feeling beautiful. It's a gorgeous day. There's a hillside. There's a temple at the top. Go into the temple, meet your angel or guide or whoever it is. Go through a door at the back into a beautiful garden, and see a little 2-year-old coming towards you. Is it a boy or a girl? They immediately know. And then they start flooding with tears. And they're absolutely, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then, are you okay? And they really do get concerned about it. And then the child and the child's guide always say, yeah, she's fine. Oh yeah, it's fine. It was meant to be, it's fine.
Yeah.
Afterwards, there was one girl, she absolutely could not believe it. She said, I had no idea those feelings were there. She said, I felt guilty. I felt ashamed. I was sad. I was upset. She said, I didn't even know that feeling was there. I showered it, but she should have pushed it down. That doesn't help because that's going to turn up in the body later on in life, right? It's going to turn up as a physical thing if you don't release the emotional thing. So, and something the same with grief. We don't just clear the grief. I usually take them up to the temple. They go through into the garden and they meet the person who just died. And I usually say to them, what do you want to say to them or ask them? And what are they answering? And then I like gift giving, me. It's much easier than just, airy-fairy stuff. I'll say, see that person give you a gift. What's inside the box? What does it signify? You give them a gift, and then that signify, and then, we love each other, etc. And they go waving and feeling free across the garden into the trees at the back. So it's a form of Ho'oponopono, but I might write my next book on forgiveness, actually. I've already been thinking about that.
Oh, I mean,
just think, if you forgave every single person who'd ever done anything to you at all, you'd be living in heaven. And be like,
that's a very good point.
Yeah. Touch on it in the book, and I've got a couple of MP3s that people can listen to. So, the forgiveness, it doesn't come easy. And especially when people say, well, why do I have to say it back to them? Please forgive me. I didn't do anything to them. They did it to me. So the phrase I invented was, whatever you did to them this lifetime or any other lifetime, knowingly or unknowingly. And they'll go, okay, I'll say forgive me for that. That's fine. What I didn't know about. Yeah.
Definitely very interesting. Is okay, maybe I don't want to spoil anything, but you call this the understanding how emotional pain is neurologically encoded. The missing piece. Is this a missing piece that is new to this framework specifically, or just kind of something in general that is an accumulation of years and years of this work?
It was interesting. There was a guy who wrote a book after I think it was Daniel Goleman wrote a book, and then a person who was working with him wrote another book about emotions. And he said there was an experiment done where a load of depressed people, some who were absolutely clinically depressed and some who were fine, who weren't officially, 20 of each or whatever, they put them into, put the head wires on them and found out what vibration they were going at. And yeah, sure, the depressed people were really low, the ordinary people were very high. Put them into a cinema and they showed funny films, so everybody was laughing. And, they did the experiment and everybody was at the same vibration. And he said as soon as they walked out the door, the depressed people got depressed again. And he said, we don't know why. And I'm like, you don't know why. It was pretty obvious. Just man stood at the door of the cinema and said, go in, have a laugh. And when you come back, we'll talk about what's really important again. Right?
Totally. Yes.
It's like, why would just go and see a funny film make you depressed when not depressed? Because depression isn't what's you depressed about, but who are you angry at? It's anger that's been pushed down for many, many years. So, and especially when with sexual abuse, for instance, I'll always tell my students, if they've been sexually abused, ask them how many times they've thought about suicide, because they will have done. It's 100%. And the words associated with that suicide is helpless, hopeless. If they use the word helpless, hopeless, there's your sign that they've had suicidal thoughts. So, and I went last week and she said, yeah, I've had 2 or 3 times I've tried to commit suicide once. She said, but I'm fine now. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. They learn to put it in a box and put it away. What they don't do, and it's still in the head neurologically, because it's a survival mechanism, right? It's your emotionally survival mechanism. So what we have to do is get it out of the box and clear it so that when they have something in future happening, like a divorce or they get laid off, all that box isn't brought out and just tsunami. Is that's it? They push that's what happens with the drugs as well. They put people on the drugs, which stops the emotions from releasing. It's healthy for emotions to release. It's healthy to have a good cry. It's healthy to have a good scream or beat some pillows up and not another person, of course, obviously. And, it's like really the emotions are meant to come up and leave. And if they've not been allowed to leave. So parenting particularly, it's like, do as I say, don't do as I do. You have to do this, you need to do that. Why don't you put the dishes away? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And the kid builds up anger and anger and anger. And of course, they can't be angry at the parent because the parent says, don't disrespect me. I think respect has to be taken out of the English language because it's like, it's got a not good connotation with it. It's like, you need to respect me. Oh, just like you respect me, right? It's like very, but they learn to repress it. And I learned to repress it so much that I was never, ever angry. When my ex-husband met me when I was 40, he said, you never get angry about anything. I was like, no, I don't. There's nothing there. I used to burst into tears if I was angry because I wasn't allowed to feel anger. So I used to cry. And then one day he did something. It was in front of my clients. He said something which I was really angry about. And I started yelling at him and he said, you're angry? I said, yes, I am angry. I've got no idea how angry I am. And it was just like, and he's like, this is great. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. You keep going, sure will. And it's literally when you free that anger, you actually feel like you've been cleansed. It's amazing. You don't realize how much anger you're holding, the rage you're holding inside that you need to clear out.
Yeah.
Yes, because it comes up unexpectedly, remember. You're just with someone having a chat and suddenly you get this huge rage coming up for no good reason.
Yeah. I mean, then are you, when it comes to releasing this, I mean, you have 9 rapid release codes. Does this then mean people are going to experience anger? Is it something else they're experiencing instead? What
I've done is I've asked them to make a list of like 20 people that they've got, emotions towards, negative emotions that they're still hanging on to, even the mother and father. Okay. And as you go through the days, if an emotion comes up, you actually find who made you feel that emotion. It doesn't matter who it is. Okay. You clear the emotion and therefore the emotion that starts with a person will go as well. So the person is accepted as just a person. Very interesting. So say someone who's been sexually abused, they're not going to go in the 80s, the fashion was you wrote a letter to your father or mother and said, you were a terrible parent, but I forgive you. And I'm like, why would you do that to anybody? Okay. And same, I'm going to get my sexual abuser. I'm going to go and accuse him. And I'm like, you won't be believed. You will not be believed. You say that Uncle Larry was your sexual abuser. They'll go, not Uncle Larry. You're a liar. I said, you're going to end up being hurt by that. I said, you release it. You don't go near the guy again. And you make sure that he stays away from children, obviously. However, you release it from you. You don't have to go and accuse him. Eventually, someone will. it'll come out. But however, most times it doesn't actually. People have been sexually abused, and there's a lot of sexual abuse around, trust me. I think just about every female I've ever met has been abused sexually in some way or another.
Yeah, it's horrible, and well, I'm sure you're seeing what's happening. It's very relevant to current 2026 America. Yeah, and I just think of, people who have ended their lives after sharing their stories publicly, and
I know, exactly. It doesn't. You need to clear it from you before you can come to terms with it just being a story. So I would never talk about my father's sexual abuse to me between 5 and 8. It was just a non-subject. And usually, I don't even mention it in classes or anything else. However, it had a profound effect on me, and it was a really very, very serious thing. It led me to the work I do today, obviously. And but at the time, I remember very clearly, I was at work. It was Christmas. I was 5 years old. And my sister and I were playing with toys, and then there were these group of ladies talking about a guy who was actually abusing someone down the street. And my father was to my left, standing next to the fireplace, warming his bum on the fire. And they said something about this girl being abused, and I looked up and I said, "Oh, Dad does that to me."
wow.
And I saw him move, and I looked round, and he went. I was like, "Ooh, obviously I'm not supposed to talk about that, right?" So I just carried on playing, and my mother said, "What did you say, Dad?" And I just pretended not to hear her. And I knew that was that. We were not supposed to talk about that topic anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's very
Well, depending how much of a secret people keep it. And actually, funnily enough, when I went back to Manchester years later, my sister was first. I asked my mother, and she said, "Yeah, you used to sexually abuse your sister, your older sister. I only found out when I was 9 months pregnant with you." And I went to the next door neighbor at the time when we were kids, because we moved when we were 7. And I said, did anybody know about it? She said, "Everybody knew about it." She said, "The whole neighborhood knew." She said, "When your sister used to come home from school, if Dad was there, she would run to next doors and stay there till my mother came home."
Oh my.
She said, "What did you hear about it?" And I said, "Why didn't anybody do anything?" She said, "You didn't in those days. Just didn't do anything. That was it."
Yeah, no, I mean, it's oof. I can't even imagine. Horrible. But I mean, it is amazing that you even with that, you've turned it around and managed to dedicate your life towards helping people in this way. One question I have with that is, when you see words like rapid release, and I want to ask you about the Mind Super Freeway. But before we get to that, a lot of people say, hey, when it comes to trauma, sexual abuse, things like this that are so deep, you have to do a regression to cause therapy. You can't.
I did all of that, Greg, and it didn't help. It just made me feel worse.
Very interesting. So, have you found working with clients that you can resolve trauma in a much more, I don't know,
without having to relive it? Yes. I did 4 years of reliving the trauma, and it was the most painful 4 years I ever went through. And now I can clear the trauma in like half an hour max, so they don't have to feel it.
Why do hypnotists still think you have to, because of what are they missing here? A lot of hypnotists and NLP.
Zero regression. And the thing is, with the regression therapy, they're saying go back to that event, see what happened, feel what happened, etc. But it may not be the real feelings. They could have actually put the feelings. That's why they can't insure themselves if they say they do regression, because you make up the emotions, or you can cross the images as well, right? I had a girlfriend who, father was lovely, nicest person you could ever meet in your whole lifetime. There was not a single chance in heaven that he would ever sexually abuse. And she had a first sexual experience when she was about 16, and she was madly in love with this guy. And then when I was doing rebirthing with her, I guess it was probably 10, 15 years later, she opened her eyes and she said, "It couldn't have happened, could it?" I said, "What?" She said, "The regression I had was me having sex with my father." And what had happened is the love that she felt for the boyfriend had got mixed up with the love for her father because they were very similar feelings, and she all flew together in her mind. And I said, that is absolutely not even in the remote realm of possibilities. So no, it was just, she did a cross-reference with the love feeling. So yeah, there is such thing as memories, not made up memories, but memories that aren't true.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I like this term. I want to know what it means. The mind super freeway. Where does this come from?
Freeway. Well, I figured that what was happening is when we send up a thought to God, to heaven, to manifest things, we send it up. Please give me $10,000 to go to Hawaii, go on a holiday, something like that. We come up against the black clouds above our head, which are all the limiting beliefs and negative emotions, right? If you get excited about something, though, if you're like, oh my God, I'm going there, I'm going to meet these amazing people, and it's going to be and you get super excited, it zips through the clouds and zips right back to you.
Yeah.
Right? It really does. If you have a really powerful thought, it goes right through the clouds and right back to you, like almost instantaneously. And I figured that you want to get to that freeway instead of having to go around the clouds and up the Christmas tree before you even get there, and then go to someone else. I did it. It was really interesting. When I was actually in the middle of my book coming out, my first book, I'd done this whole book tour. I was just sitting there on the bed, just like, I cannot do one more day. I said, if I had $1,000 right now, I would be so off to Dominican to have a holiday for a week. And I literally sat there and imagined it, and imagine being on the beach, and it calmed me right down. I was getting really good. I said, I just need that $1,000 to get me there. And I had all the surround sound feelings and everything. And the next morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, the doorbell rang, and there's a woman standing there with $1,000 in an envelope. And she gave it to me. She said, I felt really guilty. I took your class 10 years ago and never finished paying you. And I was like, thank you. And it was like amazing. And, my ex said, oh, well, we can pay some bills with that. I'm like, we are not. I promised my country on a holiday, so I'm going on a holiday. So yeah, it does. If you can literally make it your mind super freeway, where you're on the freeway, you're not going off into the boondocks, or you're not going off to McDonald's for something on the way. It literally, you get results straight away because you set your GPS and it's just a clear freeway through. That was why I came up with it.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Where can we, is there right now, if we're, well, okay, let me ask you this. Do you think then there's a missing piece in most manifestation literature?
Say again, we've got a big bonus happening here. So.
Oh, no, I was going to say in manifestation, there's a lot of manifestation literature. The number one complaint people have in The Secret in manifestation is, oh, you think you just have to sit around and visualize it, but you have to take
that's
action.
Right.
You have to take action. Yes, but what else is missing here? Is there something else we can, if we want to manifest our dream life and act, what would you say is something that people can do right now to tap into the power?
Good question. You literally imagine 1 year ahead. If you can just float above the timeline, go a year ahead and imagine what your dream life would be like and write it down. You have to have feelings with it. You have to have emotions. I've actually got it in the book. Who's with you? Where are you? Having a party? Where do you live? What's your new career? What's your car like? What's your relationship with your family like? So you can write it down and get excited as you're talking about it, and then read it back to yourself through your phone, record it, and listen back. And it just literally locks it in so that your unconscious mind automatically goes towards it. It's fascinating, actually. I did this as a demo on one of the hypnosis classes. And she's so funny. She did a master's with me a couple of years back. And she said, it all came true. And I went, what? She said, I said I was going to meet the right guy in April. He would be tall, good looking, he'd have his own business. She said, I met him. She said, I'm married to him now. And I'm like, what? And literally, she was laughing with excitement. And I said, what's it like physically? She said, oh, you have no idea what it's like physically. She was getting all excited and all like this. I've got the whole video of it, actually. I must ask for permission to publish it because it's so funny. And she said literally everything she said. And because she was actually in there living it, breathing it, that's when it came true.
Yeah. So much is state control and having building a vocabulary of your body to be able to experience. Do you find that? I mean, people are limited in their ability to even access the emotion that they're trying to release in the first place.
What you've got to do is release the emotion as you're aware of it. It's just your unconscious mind message. It's a messaging system from your mind, right? It's not real. So light is real. You can touch it, but you can't touch your shadow because it's absence of light. And negative emotion or low energy emotion is an absence of love, safety, security, freedom, happiness, right? So what happens is when you've got an emotion come up, is your unconscious mind just tapping you on the shoulder saying, this happened when we're three. Do you want me to keep it or do I delete that file? And if it happens again the next day, people wake up with, I feel a bit depressed today. The next day they're like, I feel really depressed today. The next day they wake up, I'm not getting out of bed today. And it's tsunamis. If you ignore it, it's tsunamis. It's your unconscious mind whispering to you, then yelling at you, and then smacking you up, getting your attention back. So the idea is with the 9 rapid release codes, the second you're aware of a negative emotion or low energy emotion, you use one of the codes to get rid of it. That minute, literally, you go into the washroom. If you've had an argument with a coworker, you go into the washroom, you do the mind magic, or you do the twirl and flip, or you get home and it's a big one, so you do the cinema marble. And it's literally like, if you can get to the point of being neutral every day for 7 days, that's the goal. So the first 7 days is preparing the soil for the lovely plants you're putting in. So you're learning the 7 codes. Second 7 days is actually using those 7 days as the 9 codes as they come up. And the third 7 days is about making your future goals, making them come true. What is it you really want? How can you align your values with your new direction? So that 7 days, the goal is not to be happy. The goal is to learn to stay neutral or get back to neutral.
I think that's a very important point.
The last 7 days is about getting happy.
I think that's a very interesting thing because I have often wondered about not why, but I guess the importance of neutral. The importance of neutral in these processes, because there is something that's so romantic in hypnosis and NLP about going, yeah, you feel sad about that? Let's just anchor the most positive, joyous state you can. And it doesn't really work like that. You kind of have to pass through if you could talk about that a little bit, like why doesn't it work to just blow out something negative with something completely positive?
Because it's way too far away from it. If you've got 300 pounds to release and you say, I'm going to be slim, fit and healthy in 6 months, it isn't going to work. Your conscious mind is going to go, that's so not going to happen. And what happens is you can actually release something and be disappointed. So you'll go on a little roller coaster, you'll keep going up and down. Your job is not to release the weight. Your job is to get healthy so you can be alive for your grandkids. You've got to get an exciting goal to actually get the manifestation happening. Okay. And when the negative emotions come up, you need to be aware of them. It just means your unconscious mind is saying, this may be a situation we don't want to go into. Unfortunately, we've learned how to override our gut feelings. And that's parents, unfortunately. It's like, where do you want to go today, Johnny? Oh, I'd like to go to the park. Oh, I just have my hair done, darling. So it'd be a bit windy. What? Oh, I'd like to go and play with my friends. Well, I'd have to call them all up, and well, can I go swimming? No, darling, because, why don't you just read a book or watch TV or play a computer game? And the thing is, we're not taught to make a decision and stick to it with what we want to do. We're not asked, what do you want to do today? And it's okay. What do you want to do today? But you're only doing what I want you to do. You're overriding their gut feeling. So they think it's a gut feeling. It's not. It's a learned response to do whatever you want me to do. Okay. I had a nephew, funnily enough. It was quite funny. He was only 5. And his mum is super controlling. And she said, what do you want to do today? He said, I don't know. He said, you decide. He said, because I'm going to do whatever you decide anyway, honestly, in the end. So she puts him in his room for being disrespectful. And I'm like, it wasn't disrespectful. It was actual truth. Whatever he said, she would have always had to reply to it. That was what she wanted him to do, not what he wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. Quite interesting.
It is very interesting. There's also this idea that you have about, and again, we're going to link everybody to this new book, No More Therapists. Very, very exciting. Very exciting. Your brain has the answer. You talk about the idea of if you can feel the trigger even a little bit,
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yes, exactly.
People don't talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I had a client last week. She said, "Oh no, I've worked everything on my father. Everything. There's nothing to clear. I've done it for 10 years." And I said, "Listen to the way you tone when you're talking about him. It's still there." She said, "Well, there is a bit there." So in other words, it was still there, right? When we actually did the work on her father, you know those negative words? There were 50 low energy emotions came up. And she was like, "I had no idea that stuff was still there." Right?
Yeah.
It needs to be either neutral or feeling positive about the person if you've cleared it completely.
That's so true, Dr. Yvonne. You know what I do want to talk about? I'm going to get off on a rant for a second here. I agree. When people go to me and they say, "Oh, I've done the work," or "Yeah, it used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore," and you still sense it's there. You still sense it. There are so many trainers of hypnosis and NLP in these practices that, you just can, maybe it's, I don't know if I'm an actor, or maybe you might say I have intuitive abilities, who knows, or sensitivity. I'm sensitive to the fact that it just seems like, it's amazing how many people do not have the awareness of how unresolved they still are.
They don't even know. It's so interesting. They're just, they're walking around with all this baggage. And it's only when they're in a relationship or they're in a career situation that the baggage gets out of play. And I responded like that. It was like, wow, amazing. Weddings is a good one. When you go to a wedding, it's supposed to be a happy day. No. You always got more attention from Mum than I did. Hello, are you 3 still? Yes, I am. And part of me is still 3, with that resentment that she got more attention than me kind of thing. It's really interesting. Like, especially for the happiest day of your life, and everybody ruins it for the bride because they're all talking about themselves. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The biggest issue is, before you're 7 years old, you're in the imprinting period for 0 to 7. And if something happens during that 0 to 7, you're going to get a belief about it. So little John is playing with his truck, he's 5 years old, and his sister comes up and snatches it, right? So what does he do? He's going to hit her and get the truck back. And then she's going to cry, and Mum's going to walk in and say, "Johnny, you made your sister cry, but she took my truck. Well, you've got to learn to share your toys. She's only little. You need to look after her. You're a big boy, don't cry, because big boys don't cry." And, just in that little interaction, I'm not good enough. I have to share things. I can't have anything by myself. I have to be responsible for other people, even though I can't even be responsible for myself. I'm not worthy of being of someone loving me. I can't cry. I can't feel my emotions. I mean, we're talking belief after belief in just one little incident, and there's 100,000 of those before you're 7.
Yeah.
So it's a program that's running outside your awareness.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, so because you also do the spiritual side of things, is a limiting belief the same or different than when someone says you have a block? A money block, an abundance block. I've heard this term tossed around.
Yes. Yes, it definitely is the same. It's the same thing. But I don't like to use the word block because it makes it block, right? So a limiting belief is something which is, if I don't believe something can happen, it has to be believable. I mean, the thing is that you can say you want $1 million and everything, head towards it. If your conscious mind doesn't believe it, then it won't happen. It'll actually put the reverse. You'll get a $2,000 bill in the post the next day. So it's literally going to reverse backwards because the idea with any kind of motivation is to get motivated with emotions, obviously, and then just take one small step at a time. So in the book, I'd said nobody should do a gratitude book. Gratitude books are not good. Because every gratitude book I did, it was like, thank God today's over. I'm still breathing. I hope today. It was like, I'm grateful that tomorrow will come soon. It was not a gratitude book at all, ever. what I recommend people do is get an accomplishment book.
So, yeah.
Accomplish these 3 things today. You know what I'm most proud of today? I had the day yesterday from the last 2 days have been like chaos, and the dishes in the sink were piling up, right? And I did the dishes this morning. I'm so proud of myself. You have no idea. It's like,
Yes.
would be in my accomplishment book tonight. It would be, I did the dishes and put them away. Yeah. Good job, Yvonne. Right. So it's not the big things. We need to complete the day. And that's why people get nightmares. They wake up anxious. They wake up, with all these to-do lists and everything. You've got to complete the day. So if you can complete the day with 3 tiny things you accomplished. I went swimming today. I did, I thought I might do 20 lengths, but I did 16. And I was quite happy with 16 lengths. So I was like, I did 16 lengths. That's fine. Usually I attempt for 20. It's been 10 quite a lot recently because I've just been zipping in and zipping out. But I did 16. I'm like, you know what? I'm really proud of myself that I got the 16 today. That's in my accomplishment book tonight.
Wow.
Right? So little things. It's not like, I changed someone's life today. It's like, to me, that's not an accomplishment. That's my everyday job, is saving people's lives. I do it every day. It's not something that I actually think about, actually. Did I tell you about my near-death experience when I was 28?
No, please.
I had a near-death experience. I was teaching in Italy, and I caught hepatitis from the kids. And I actually had Lyme's disease. Just the day before I headed off for Italy, I discovered I had a tick in the back of the knee. We had to get it out with a cigarette because it pulled its head out, but never even occurred to me that I would have Lyme's. And then a year later, I got hepatitis, and I was so ill, you've no idea. I mean, belly was all swelled up. My eyes were bright yellow, my skin was yellow. I was actually thinking I was getting a suntan, it was so yellow. And the lady who was employing me, the head teacher, had not registered me for tax. So she took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, get her to the hospital now. She's almost in a coma. Her bilirubin count was like off the charts. It was something like 600, and it should have been 6 or something crazy. And he said, you get her to hospital this minute. If she goes into a coma, she'll be dead. So she didn't take me because she hadn't registered me for tax.
Oh, wow.
She said, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. We'll go and register you for tax. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go to bed that night. And in the middle of the night, I didn't know he'd said that. She should have told me later. And I literally remember kind of my eyes opening and everything was exiting every orifice. It was like, and I popped out of my body. And it was just a white. It was like a cloud of nice translucent white place. And I met my lady in white who was with me all the way through the abuse stuff. She was really always there just as I'm here still looking after you. And she said, and she was there with my guide from my meditation, so a young man called Peter. And I said, what happened? She said, well, you can stay or go. I said, so what happens if I go? She said, you'll die. I said, what happens if I stay? She said, you'll save thousands of people's lives. And she said, it's your choice, 100% your choice. And the day after, I actually had to go back to teaching because I had to work another year because they paid me when I was so sick. And I thought, I have to do the payback. The second I went back to England, though, I stopped teaching and I started doing the work I'm doing now. And it was really interesting. It wasn't even a choice. It was like, okay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So and I've had people who've had near-death experiences, and in every single case, they get a choice. It's like, do you want to stay or do you want to go? Right. And what my belief is that you've got a strong cord attaching you to, you and the other side kind of idea. And at some point in your life, you have what I call a choice point. So the cord goes thin. And at that point, it can break and then you're dead. Okay. Mm. I watched my mother when she was she lived to 91, but in her 80s, she must have nearly died at least 6 times. I would phone, my sister would be, she's in hospital, she'd nearly died, you need to come and say goodbye to her. And then I phoned her the next day and she'd be like, just been in the garden, do the gardening, darling. It's a lovely day. I'd be like, this was me dead. But, and she would let go. She kept coming back. And people do that. It's like you're all ready to get the funeral pyre ready and they suddenly bounce back and they're fine. And some people get there and just carry on going and they don't get back. So, it's very interesting.
We are very grateful you made the right choice here. You made it the right choice for us. Forget about you, for us. No, you've given us a great gift here. And I mean, my gosh, it sounds as if you've put pretty much the full works. I mean, the stuff you teach, your bread and butter, in your new book, No More Therapists, Your Brain Has the Answer. Let me ask you this. Is this almost a way of, I mean, I know this is a great way for you to give back and really give people all the stuff here. Do you feel like this unconsciously is going to put you in a place where you now desire to generate even new methodologies? Is this a call? Is this a call to go, okay, I've done all this, now I need to do even newer, more interesting stuff?
It's the thought behind it, Greg, is I don't want to die tomorrow and all my techniques die with me. We're really the biggest motivator. I've got so much knowledge, as you know. I wanted it all to be available to everybody. And yeah, the book's going to be $8, something like that, $8 or $9. I don't care. It's not about the money I'm going to get. I'd love to be a million bestseller and get some really good money. However, it's about me knowing that I've left a legacy behind. And that really is the key. And
yeah,
you know, and I actually said, even halfway through writing the book, I'm never going to write another book. And here I am. It's just about to be published on the a forgetfulness, a book about forgiveness would be really good. I'm like, no. Oh,
you got to keep going. Please let me be the.
You know what? I love this stuff. I really enjoy learning. I'm just like, I'll research till I get what I want to know, and then I'll think, right, there's a new technique coming from that.
Yes. Well, that is what I have loved learning from you and continuing to follow you and hopefully imbuing your spirit into the way that I practice hypnosis and talk with people. I mean, it's that curiosity, the spirit.
Yeah,
that's what I feel those hypnotists and the NLPers. I mean, originally it was about an attitude, not just techniques. It was about how you view the world.
And it's also, I expect to get perfect results. Therefore, I do.
Yes.
I expect it to work. And if it doesn't work, it just means I missed something. There was an emotion we didn't name. That's all. It's 100% going to work. And I test it afterwards, even a week later. I'll say, how do you feel about the sexual abuse? Nothing. Not there. How do you feel about your father? Nothing. So I know it's permanent. Right, which is wonderful. And if I come across anybody who I'm not sure what I should do with, I literally make up a technique on the spot. And then I'll write it down and then make something of it. So it's a new technique going into the toolbox. It's great.
Yeah, no, this generativity isn't going to end. I mean, it's going to keep going.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, everybody, look, if you're lucky enough to get it on May 14th for 99 cents, but even then it doesn't say it's going to be worth every penny. Even when it does get to $9, whatever it is. No More Therapists, Your Brain Has the Answer by Dr. Yvonne Oswald. And we're going to give you the link so that you can sign up for the emotional safety box.
Yes, the emotional safety box is really worth it. It's free. You know, so it's like you click it, you put your email in it, and you get the 10 techniques. One of them is actual, have you heard of the psoas? The psoas muscle. I'd never heard of it. And I was thinking, what kind of techniques can I put in the safety box that would, so getting back to the reason why I did it, that girl said that the third and fourth day, she had emotions like tsunami all over the place. I said that in that case, I'm going to invent a safety box that people, if things are happening, they're out of control, they can dig into it and go pick a technique, do one technique. If that doesn't work, do the next technique. There's 10 techniques in there, and instantly they'll be back to normal. They'll be back to, neutral. And the psoas is a muscle that goes from your mid-back right the way down to your thigh. And it's one of your survival muscles. It's the one that contracts when you're in danger. And the interesting thing is it carries years and years of negative emotions in it. I didn't know that. And literally, it's a really simple little exercise. You lie flat on your back. You pull one knee up and then to count to 30, pull the other knee up to your chest, but count to 30. Then you butterfly your legs with your soles together and just lie there. And then you bring your feet separate and bring your knees up so that they're like that. They're just touching. So you're just lying on the bed with your knees touching and you just lie there and it all melts away.
Oh my gosh. This is acting school.
Yeah, the psoas relaxes into the hip bone where it's supposed to be. And you just lie there thinking, this is really interesting. There's nothing there. It's like, it takes 5 minutes, literally.
Oh, you just keep coming up with stuff. Hey, you know what? Before we go, the vagus nerve. Do you have thoughts on that?
The what?
The vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. Yes, there's an exercise in the safety box for that as well.
Oh, okay. Because I know that's kind of the trendy one I hear these days.
The vagus nerve is really important. It's the psoas and the vagus nerve I've covered in the safety box. Plus, I've got a meditation technique, and there's a little link to music and all kinds of other things as well.
See, you're well researched. You're on top of all of it.
All of it. I'm literally right at the leading edge there. Saying, follow me, guys. You'll feel better.
Yes, Dr. Yvonne Oswald. No more therapists. Don't do it. Don't do it. Get this book instead. No more therapists. Your brain has the answer. We'll put all the links in there for everybody.
Emotions in minutes, not years.
Clear negative emotions in minutes, not years. You have taught me so much. You continue to teach me so much. I'm honored to say that I was your student, and I'm really grateful that you came on the show.
Thank you so much. And you know what, Greg, you'll be able to read it. You'll be able to look at the book and you'll get so many new techniques to use. You're going to get an amazing following. You're going to get amazing practice going from it.
I have so much love for you. I thank you so much again.
Oh, you're amazing. I'm so glad to see you again. Wow, it's so nice to see people.
Likewise. Please come back again soon with your next creations.
Yes, I will. When I get my forgiveness book out, we'll be talking.
Absolutely.
Do it again.
Dr. Yvonne Oswald. Isn't she a delight? I love talking to her. She's an amazing woman. I've been reduced to infancy. That is the motherly power of the Mesmer mother. Yeah, can't utter words, just high energy sounds. You gotta pick up the book. Check the link in the show notes. Mom can use a little mental health check, right? You don't need to say it like that, though. Thank you, Rodney McGilvery, Zero Boy, for the theme music. Thank you for rating the show, leaving a review, sharing it with people you love. Have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend.